Okay guys, how you going? It's Beck. I am sorry about the delay in videos, the amount of time in between videos, but I must make these videos when I'm led. I cannot just do this out of my own heart. And now that the channel is all back to me, there is a big responsibility on myself to only do videos when I'm led. I've been asked the last week a couple of times why I haven't put some videos out. So there's that. So we're on a new path this morning here, and I've done this completely on purpose. I was going to go to somewhere that I knew and had several destinations in mind. Now bear with me with this, okay, because this is going somewhere. And then I thought, no, I need to go somewhere new. I want to take the dogs somewhere they've never been. And it hit me that this is the way, walk in it. But it's not only that, this is the new way, walk in it. And there have been some breaking things happening around the world, a lot of which you probably know, some of which you might not. Now, the one I want to address is the WHO looking to sign in from May 22nd of this year for 189 countries, 180-something countries, to sign in that it gives the WHO full control in the pandemic. Now, America is saying if that, they would have done this in the first place, that this wouldn't have happened, that we wouldn't have had 2.5 years of lockdowns. They're saying that once the power is given to them, they will be able to stop it. Do you realise, guys, what's going on here? All the nations that signed this treaty has given over any sovereignty, any last bit of sovereignty and independence that we had. It will be gone. And that will mean the first public, let's say, the first public demonstration of setting up the NWO. And it will be made public. Now, we don't know what they're going to brand this under, and I would just say they're going to call it the Brave New World. Let's just say that. They're not going to call it the NWO. They're going to call it probably something like the Brave New World. So there's that. I can't tell you much more about that. Nobody can. Because until that comes about, it would be signed into effect then, not into effect, but it would be put into effect in 2024. Now, we look at these dates to come and think it's a long way away, but it's not. It's here. It is at the door. Okay, so we've had a lot of rain here. This would be just a tiny little creek. I can tell you it must be. Even though I've never been here, this would be just a trickle, which is now quite a good whack of water there. Right, we've got a bit of, something's crashed over here. Now, another thing that I've noticed, and people just leave rubbish like it's, that's cool to do, just leave rubbish anywhere. Strepsils, wine tails, the ship that never was. Australia's longest running play. Okay, I don't know that one. Right, so there's another thing. Father showed me this morning about Apollyon, or Apollo, which we know who Apollo was in history, but do we know who Apollo is? The current Apollo? Well, if you've done any research at all into the T-Man, the old Prezi of the States, the old one, if you've done any investigation in Mr. T at all, you'll know that he sees himself as a modern day Apollo. He has it on the roof of his apartment in New York. Mar-a-Lago has references all through it. Now, there is a lot of things they are showing in the media that you need to keep your eyes peeled. If you are watching news stories, you need to be decoding this stuff yourself by now. You can do it, okay? You will see their signs and symbols because they are becoming way more blatant than I've ever seen. Now, we know that Apollo, well, who they think is Apollo, but there was something that came to my mind this morning. And I've done a little bit of investigation into the English language. And since 2018, I've done some very, not deep, not a deep dive, but deep enough to know that our English language is bastardized. It is witchcraft. It is spelling. So we cannot avoid this. We are not to be under condemnation of that. We are not to feel in fear because it is not our fault. It is the only language we know. Apollo is 2 words, a loop. A, and it's very funny because it's LLOOP. It's everything about the double U. It's everything about the 2 buildings that come down, 3 in the end, but that was to represent Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Now, the twin system. I have always believed that the T-Man has a twin. And it's not something I've believed. I've seen these 2. They're different. So it's no wonder he can do twice as much damage as anybody else if he can be in 2 different places at the one time. Even to fool those around him, not just the public. We have to think. You see, the kingdom of darkness is divided against itself. It is. It cannot stand. A kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. The kingdom of darkness is divided against itself. And we need to keep remembering that even though they appear to be all on the same team, they are backstabbing each other, they hate each other, and they all want to beat each other to the platform of the highest ranking among them. Now, I don't believe these men are purely men anymore. I believe they have sold, if you can sell your own soul, which is another question. We don't even have a right to sell our soul. But considering that that's something, that you're giving it to the enemy, so you're not selling it, but you're giving your soul to the enemy. It's not a very long track, but it's not too bad. Where am I going with this? Sorry. Now, so you can't, maybe you can't sell your soul, but you could give your soul to the enemy. So this kingdom is divided against itself. We have to stop giving the kingdom of darkness so much credit because the infighting we wouldn't believe. All right? Now, there are many things I have read in reference to the fact that the wicked will be removed. It's not saying we will. Well, we know we will go to a new home. But it makes me believe and change my point of view that the wicked will be removed first. So we are going to see the downfall of the wicked. And that's what this exposing and revealing is all about, letting these people be exposed into the public eye, letting the public see it. You see, the enemy also has to do that so that people can make an informed decision for their own soul, for their own, for their own soul, for their future. They can make a decision on whether they believe what they're hearing or not. And more than not, they don't believe. And they think people like us, we're grabbing at straws, we're reaching, boy, that's a stretch and all this. That's okay. I'm well past that frustrating me like I was years ago. Well past that. My prayer has become for the lost. My prayer it always is, but my prayer today was for the lost, that they see, the ones who are still being tricked, the ones who must be in utter terror and confusion with what is coming upon the world, because we can see now with the fuel prices skyrocketing. It was $2.19 here yesterday. It's going to hit $6 a gallon in the States by the end of the week, they're saying. Now, we're not going to be able to afford to keep up the cost of living. And so it's not only your CV, your pandemic lockdown that we're going to have. We're going to have climate lockdowns, which will be that the petrol prices is part of the planned climate lockdowns. Now, this is provided they get this far. I don't know how long this can keep going on. I know that even the strongest of us grapple with fear at times of what is coming upon the world. And fear not, for he is with us. Fear not, for he is our Father. He will strengthen us and help us. He will uphold us with his righteous right hand. We need to keep reminding ourselves of this, because the fear of the enemy, it will always lead us into weakness. It will lead us into falling into a pit, and then we've got to wait for somebody to come along and get us out of that pit. Once again, we fall. Fear, I have found, is the main weapon of the enemy. People took the jib in fear that they would not have a job, in fear they'll lose this and lose that. Now, I don't know how that works for those who went and had it, but I know those of us who have stuck it out and not done that. I know we're still all okay, and none of us are sick. Okay, none of us are ill. Now, let's move on to another bit of this. These jibs are causing people's immune system. Do you remember the 80s? The word A ends in IDS. Yes, it depletes the immune system. So you won't be able to say specifically they died of the jib. What they will say is, see, they died because of complications resulting in something that they already had a weakness in their body for. Now, the next thing I want to tell you is another thing that I saw this morning, the link between hepatitis in children and Omicron. There is no link, because there is no Omicron. So I would say my theory, my personal theory only, but I know when I feel something, if it's wrong, the Holy Spirit usually just gets rid of it really quickly. So this has stuck with me since this morning, very heavily. They're saying hepatitis is coming out in children, and it's linked to the Omicron disease. So if the children are exposed to the Omicron disease, they can develop hepatitis. This is another ploy of the enemy, because they might have released a batch, not a batch, many batches aimed at the children that were hep infected. Okay? Infected. Trying to be careful with my words. Now, that is one way to do away with that part of the population. Also, if you look into sterility rates look into fertility rates since the inception of the needle, look into the fertility rates from them then till now. Also, the not just fertility rate, but the conception rate, it has dropped worldwide dramatically, but I think America was the worst. So we got problems. Now it's manifesting. So what we said was real, it was only in the spirit then. It was given to us in our spirit. Now that because what we were shown was true, it was true information from the Holy Spirit, and not just me, we're talking many channels. Now it is manifesting in reality. So something must manifest in the spiritual realm before it can be a reality here. And it did. It manifested. Now it's here. So I suspect, we have different demographics of population. We have the elderly, we have the children, and we have us in between. So they had, just like my brother from long ago and I used to say on the channel, we knew that they had different flavours, what we called flavours of the orange juice. That's a definite. So the one thing they'll all have in common, though, is it will deplete the body's own ability to heal itself. The wicked will be taken, will they? Okay. Seems like it's the only thing that's made these people wicked in this end. If, a lot of our loved ones that took it, they're not the Baal worshippers, they're not the sacrificers, but they didn't listen to the Holy Spirit. And I don't know if they're not, I know they're redeemable, I just do, I just feel it. And I know there was a while there where I said, I just don't know. I was running in fear. But the mark hasn't become the mark where you're willingly worshipping. These people don't know they've been tricked. And so we keep them in our prayers. And we become the mop-up crew. We have become the clean-up gang. It's as simple as that. I'm going to leave it at there for today because I could go on about a few more things, but there are a few people I'm waiting to hear back from. And hopefully we can get our live stream up and running. Please pray for my brother Vernon. Your brother too, Vernon. He's not well. He's struggling, guys. And I thought he was gone a few times. So please pray, keep Vernon in your prayers. And from Doogies and I, from Bo and Jazzy, we love you. And if this is the first time you've heard me, maybe you want to go back and watch some of the other videos, but I'm just a really little channel doing my best out here to be obedient to what the Father tells me to do, because we can't talk to people in real life about this stuff. They don't want to know, and they didn't for a long, long time, and more so now. They don't want to know more so. So it's just keep Father in your spirit, keep him close, believe that he sent his Son to die for you. Believe it, and you will be saved, you and yours. Call on him in the day of great distress, and he will answer you. This is all we have left. There's nowhere to run. There's no one to run to. Psalms 96 says, I looked for somebody for comfort, but there was no one. Thanks to Rebecca 4555 for that this morning. There was no one to run to. The ark door is shutting. I know we said this a couple of years ago, but it's been shutting the whole time. It's about to slam shut. I don't know how long, none of us do. But considering the signs and the warnings, well, every day it's closer than the day before. But however, it is at the door. cover yourselves in the blood of Yeshua. Cover your families. Hide under the shelter of his wings. There is nowhere else to run. This is Beck. I'm off.